Welcome back, everybody, to this week's edition of the FSI PGA DFS Pick Show. I am your host, John McNutt, aka John Cole 19, here talking Butterfield Bermuda Championship. Really a quick recap of last week. Rory McIlroy kind of ran away with things just a little bit. He was the number one favorite pick on this show last week. For all the obvious reasons. But again, he is just in excellent form right now. A couple other good picks on this show. Shane Lowry had a great showing, as well as one of my pivot plays, Billy Horschel. So let's go ahead and jump into it this week. We are playing the Port Royal Golf Course. This is in Bermuda. Biggest thing to concern yourself with this week is the weather. There are hurricanes in the area. It does look like that the tournament will play through, but there's going to be a lot of wind and a lot of rain, especially over the weekend. So we'll see if there's any delays or anything that might give us absolute advantages when it comes to playing wave stacks or just in showdown slates, trying to pick out golfers playing from the better wave of golf. So definitely catch us in our Discord this week. I will be sharing all information I have and any sort of advantages that we see when it comes to the weather. The way to our Discord is either through our website, FSIDFS.com, or through our Twitter handle at FSI_DFS. Either of those, you can find the link to the Discord. But more on the course here. It's about 6,800 yards. So this is a short course this week, par 71, Bermuda grass greens. There are only 3 par 5s this week, but they are absolutely gettable. Must be able to score well on those par 5s. The fairways on this course are pretty difficult to hit. They are rather thin when it comes to PGA Tour standards. Combine that with the wind that is always here at this course, being a coastal course in Bermuda, and then add in the fact that the weather front, really the projected weather is high winds and rain throughout the week, really maybe even Thursday being the only calm day, if you even want to call it that. So I'm building this shots gained in windy conditions into my model, favoring that very heavily this week. Rarely do I have this much emphasis on any sort of weather conditions in my modeling, but absolutely putting it in. I'm putting in quite a bit of emphasis on approach this week, ball striking in general, but really that approach play being much more important. Guys are going to be spraying the ball all over when it comes to off the tee this week. So really fairways gained, not as important. But what we found in these very windy conditions, golfers who can drive the ball farther tend to have a better advantage. The rough is not very penal here. So golfers are just going to kind of get it out there, get as much wind, as much distance as they can in the wind, and then just play from there. So I see an advantage for golfers who are gaining distance off the tee. I'm also going to include Bermuda grass putting in my modeling pretty heavily this week. These are some slower greens too, so really kind of an emphasis on slow Bermuda. It is kind of a different surface than we see week in and week out on the PGA Tour. And then around the green play, obviously with a lot of wind, that results in a lot of missed approach shots. So I'm playing around the green into my modeling quite a bit. The other things that I would include on there is strokes gained in difficult conditions, the windy conditions, or you can even put just difficult scoring. When this course gets windy, it is very difficult to score. When there is no wind, it's actually a relatively easy course, but I'm not expecting that more than maybe the one day this week. So you can include that there. A little bit of course history for me as well. They've played at Port Royal Golf Course for the last 3 years. So if you go any farther back than that on the Bermuda, you are looking at the wrong course. So make sure to take that into consideration. Then some par 5 scoring. I mentioned that they are relatively easy par 5s. Got to make some birdies on those holes. So I'm including that as well. That's really about it. Let's go ahead and jump into my favorite plays this week. Right up at the top, Thomas Detry comes in number 1 overall in my modeling. He is 10,500 on DraftKings, 18-1 outright to win. Give me the DraftKings play over the outright this week for Detry. He's typically a golfer. We're going to see more like 30, 40, 50-1 odds. So the 18-1 is a little bit of a surprise, but this field is weak. As you see me go on here with my value plays, they're normally bottom tier guys, and this week they are just a little bit more expensive, but certainly some value there. Thomas Detry, a lot to like about him this week. He's made 3 out of 3 cuts so far on this new PGA Tour season. That includes also a T5 and another made cut on the DP World Tour ever since the Tour Championship. So really good, some good form for Thomas Detry coming in. He was 22nd place on this course last year, the Bermuda Open, or I should say the Bermuda Championship. He's really good putter on Bermuda grass greens. And then for some of the stats, he comes in 4th in driving distance in this field, 31st on approach, 25th ball striking, and also top 10 when it comes to par 5 scoring. I think he's going to be a pretty popular option at the top of the DK pricing, but I will probably start a lot of my GPP lineups with Thomas Detry. Another golfer who is never going to be this expensive, and that is Patrick Rodgers. He's 9,700 on DraftKings. That's much higher than we're used to paying. Maybe we've been in the low 7K range for Patrick Rodgers, mid 7K throughout the first handful of events this season. Big price jump for him based on just the competition that is playing this week. He is a 30-1 outright to win. I do kind of like that for Patrick Rodgers. He's made 3 out of 4 cuts to start this PGA season, and that includes 16th back at the Zozo Championship in Japan. He has made 2 out of 3 cuts at this course, and he was 4th place here last year, so I like that a lot. Main thing with Patrick Rodgers, he is excellent in windy conditions. He's also a very long driver of the ball. I have him ranked 6th in this field and 7th on bogey avoidance. Really top 10 as well for ball striking for Patrick Rodgers. So I think he's going to be a popular option. Probably a really good cash play if you're going to start at about 9,700. If you're going to start up at the top of your cash lineup, I think Patrick Rodgers is a great option there. But again, the popularity on DraftKings will maybe limit some of my ownership there in GPPs if he gets to be super popular, just based on early projections. Looks like he could be, but again, one of my favorite golfers in this field. So I'm going to take a look here at some value plays as well as some ownership pivots I am looking at for my GPP lineups. First guy to talk about, Ben Griffin. He is a newer golfer to the tour. He is only 7,200 this week on DraftKings, 80-1 outright pick to win. I would not be picking Ben Griffin to outright win this week, but give me a top 10 play instead and hammer him in some DraftKings. Probably a really good cash play near the bottom, if not the last guy into your cash lineups at 7,200 on DraftKings. He's going to be very popular this week, it looks like. He's made 2 out of 3 cuts to start the season. He was 24th at the Sanderson Farms. He has not played this course in competition previously, but just kind of looking at the stats, you can see why people are gravitating to Ben Griffin this week. He is 4th in this field on approach, 24th ball striking, 25th around the greens, 14th distance, and also top 15 in bogey avoidance. Really all those main categories I'm looking at this week. He rates out very, very well. I think the consistency to start this season with those 2 out of 3 made cuts and just that overall approach play, people hammer golfers that are in this price range that are top 15 ball striking, top 5 approach, top 15 distance. That's an excellent recipe for just have a good putting week, and Ben Griffin can find himself very high on the leaderboard. I like him a lot for cash, and then just depends on the GPP, how much ownership he's garnering. If he's as popular as it looks he might be, I will likely fade there in tournaments, but a great cash option. A couple guys that you can probably look at. These guys really similar pricing to Ben Griffin on DraftKings. That's Bryce Garnett. He comes in at 7,300, about 5% ownership. I'm thinking that's going to be somewhere around half of guys around him. Kevin Yu, Ryan Armour. Bryce is very good around the green golfer, and he plays really, really well in windy conditions. Really all of these next couple pivots that I'm talking about, very good in windy conditions. That includes Hank Lebioda at 7K on DraftKings. He's going to be maybe a little bit higher at around 8% ownership. I still have that less than guys next to him, Kramer Hickok. And then Ben Griffin is probably going to be double the ownership of Hank Lebioda. But again, very, very good in the wind. He is top 25 on approach and top 25 around the greens. I like me some Hank Lebioda this week. One more golfer that I have probably never talked about on this show, that is Robert Streb, 6,800 on DraftKings, only about 4% projected ownership, but he rates really, really well, fourth in my model when it comes to golfing in windy conditions. He's also top 25 ball striking in this field. And just looking at guys like right next to him, Chad Ramey, another very good golfer, is going to be more than double the ownership of Robert Streb. Give me Streb in this situation in your GPP lineups. So those are the guys I'm looking at. Maybe one more value play, Kevin Yu. I mentioned him as having a bit higher ownership, but he is playing excellent right now. The back-to-back top 40s, as well as very good ball striking here to start the new season. Another golfer I would look at. So that is going to be it for this week's show. Appreciate you watching. Please leave any questions or comments in the comment section below. I'd be happy to answer them. For more details on ownership projections, as well as weather projections and any sort of wave stacking that we see might be necessary. And then finally, my core plays. All of that will be found in the Discord. Again, best ways to go through Twitter at FSI_DFS. I'll be able to click the link there, join the Discord, and I'll be sharing any other information I can when it comes to especially weather this week. That up to the minute information we have is going to be available in the Discord. Hopefully we can find some wave advantages for our members. All right, thanks for watching and good luck this week.